But I suppose to just briefly introduce him, because his time has been eaten into by the late start, and this is a guy who likes to talk. So I'm not going to get much of a chance to talk, so I'm really here just to introduce him and then mainly to get him to shut up, which is going to be incredibly difficult, you see, incredibly difficult. But look, for those of you here who I suppose many of you would have campaigned against the war in Iraq, would have known about Bush's response to the war on terror after 9/11 and the horror that was Guantanamo. Guantanamo was 22 years old 2 weeks ago, and I certainly never thought in those days that 22 years on we'd be still talking about it being open, or that I'd be in a room with somebody who actually went through that horror. For 14 years of torture, an innocent man just picked up because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the Americans had dropped leaflets basically saying, we're looking for terrorists. Anybody got any terrorists here? So suddenly terrorists were transpired out of everything, and people were basically sold for ransom money to disappear into a lawless place that is still open to this day. Now 780 Muslim men, everybody who went there was a Muslim, went there from 48 countries. 9 men died there, and fewer than 20 were ever charged with anything. Most of them were just, nobody's just picked up there, that was it. And today, 30 men remain there, despite the repeated promises about closing it. So look, we'll talk maybe a little bit at the end about how we ended up bringing Mansoor here, but he came from Yemen eventually. He's very young and stylish, as you can see. It's hard to think that he was 14 years in Guantanamo, but he was. And I'm going to maybe let him start by talking about how he ended up there, what happened, how did you cope, and we will try and take some questions from people as well if we can. So look, he is very annoying, but he's amazingly brilliant when you consider what he's been through. So Mansoor Adayfi, all the way from Yemen via Guantanamo.
Woo! Finally! Belfast. Everyone have you been to Belfast? Not yet. You should be to Belfast. You will love it. So I'm here, but it's the last night. I feel sad anyway. So I'd like to start, as usual, guys. We'll bring you a piece from Yemen. Trust me, don't worry. It's not rackets. They're just for Israelis, for Zionists. So it is Yemeni greetings. When tribal greet each other, we say, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يا هلا ومرحبا رحبوا حياكم الله أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا مليون. Means peace be upon you all. Welcome and welcome. And I'd like to sing a song for you guys. I guess learn it today. Learn Is that right? I love it. You know, I start with because this is my last night, and Irish people have been with us from the very beginning of Guantanamo. No exaggeration, and we'll come to that. The song we used to sing at Guantanamo for each other, when someone arrive at Guantanamo, or would someone moved to our block, and would say, حبا حبا باللي جا يا مرحبا باللي جا حبا حبا باللي جا يا مرحبا باللي جا. Means welcome and welcome by the one who come. This song dedicated to you guys from Guantanamo prisoners, because as I said, that Irish history and Irish people were with us from the very beginning. We're going to come to that. So, who I am? I am Mansoor Adayfi. You can call me 441, a smelly troublemaker from Yemen. So I'm going to talk about my story, how I ended up to Guantanamo. So today you are with me on a journey to Guantanamo. Don't worry, there will be no orange suit, no hoods, No handcuffs, no chain, and trust me, no kicking or hitting. You are safe with me, unless you want to stay. No, no escape. So I was born in Yemen. Not that one. I'll show you that little boy. This is me. Was born in a tiny village in the rural area in Yemen. Raised in a very conservative family, a tribe family. We live in a village, no electricity, no running water, nothing, no TV, nothing. So I spent almost until I finished my secondary school. My mom actually the one who raised us, because my father used to go to Saudi Arabia to work there in a restaurant and take care of the family. After I finished my secondary school, I had to move to the city, Sana'a city, so I can finish my high school. When I arrived in Sana'a city, it was a new world, a new experience. A lot of cars, lights, streets, signs, and so on. I glued to the car's window just looking. And my brother just shut up, I need to watch. So I was amazed by the new world. When I arrived at my aunt's house, I went 10 on and the light on and off. I know, Mansoor, stop! I can't stop. This is something new. When I watched the TV, I would go behind to see what's going on there, where the people came from. So it was so different. Finished my high school, and as you know, in our societies and tribal areas, we are raised as to be a man. You know, the feeling being a man was 12 years old. I remember when I worked at the Dutch embassy, the wife of the consulate would say, "Oh, you're still a boy." I said, "No, I'm a man." So at the age of 18, I mean, the mentality, the way we take responsibilities and so on. But it was honestly, I do go back to the village, a lot of work. Farming, pitching, fetching water. I had to work 12 kilometers a day to go back and forth to school. So, story short, how I get involved in Afghanistan, Guantanamo. As you know, how the media shape, the mainstream, how they shape our mind, our way of thinking, and how they direct us to look only one side, most of the time. So, in order to understand, for example of that, you see, the media does not talk about before 9/11. All the talk after 9/11. All Muslims now being hate crimes, stigmatized as Islamophobia and so on, stigmatized as terrorists because after 9/11. So to understand why 9/11 happened in the first place, we need to look before 9/11. United States was involved in Afghanistan since the 1980s and 1990s, you know. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Taliban took over Afghanistan eventually. Osama bin Laden moved to Sudan, to Afghanistan, activated Al-Qaeda, and start hitting United States back, strike between Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda back and forth. This is what happened in the end of the 1990s, attack in Saudi Arabia, Nairobi, Dar es Salaam. I was in Yemen. Yemenis, Al-Qaeda hit them with the boat. They blew one of the United States USS Scoil at that time. Houthis start doing that now, but in a different way. However, the attack was big in Yemen. Resulted as 17 killed. And when Yemen president at that time was asked how about the USS Scoil attack, he said, "Well, maybe there is a gas cylinder exploded in the kitchen." So that the former Yemen president, Ali Abdullah Saleh. So at that time, there was vacuum. I remember there was a program in Al Jazeera called "A Man versus a Country," Osama bin Laden against the United States. This is how it was, and how at that time. There was no involved to Muslim or Muslim countries or terrorism whatsoever. It was a single man and a country. Saudi Arabia and Yemen government, they needed to encounter the new ideology, Al-Qaeda and this kind of stuff. They asked the head of the institute in Yemen, which I work part-time there. He was asked to write a book to encounter and dismantle Al-Qaeda ideology, especially for the young men and people, because at that time when someone stood against the United States, he was somebody was like a champion. So there was intelligence work to encounter the new ideology. I worked in that institute as for foreign student, managing their affairs. When I finished my high school, I needed to go study my college. So the head of that institute used to give a reference letter to students where they go study in the United Arab Emirates and Gulf countries. So my point, I needed that reference letter badly. And one day, he selected one of his students to go to Afghanistan and to do research about Al-Qaeda and Taliban and the other groups, so he can help him to write a book to dismantle this ideology. I was selected to be his researcher assistant. Big mouth, talking a lot, know how to handle things. So I said, yes, why not? The exchange, when I get back, I would go to study in the United Arab Emirates for computer science. In Yemen, there was only one college, very expensive. The journey started. Our mission was approved officially by Yemen government, where we had a reference letter to Yemen embassy in Pakistan. We traveled there, then they organized everything to go to Afghanistan. Arriving in Afghanistan was like traveling 1,000 years back. The only thing you see that connect you to the modern life in 2001, the motorcycles and the cars. That's it. You know, totally the way people live, the severity, the poverty, the struggle. And traveling to Kabul, the Afghanistan capital, we saw a lot of damaged tanks, vehicles. It tells a lot of history. Arriving in Kabul, there was a lot of, also the building itself, there's a lot of damage. So anyway, our contact point in Afghanistan was a Saudi church organization. So we sat with them and talked to them how we do the research, who do we interview, visiting camps, institute, schools, meeting people, other groups. So we started doing our work for, I think, 2 months. With the church organization, 10 years later in Guantanamo, I came to know it was the Saudi intelligence front. So indirectly, without knowing, we were working actually with the Saudi intelligence in that aspect. I think you already know that, how they work in different undercovers and so on. So we did a lot of work. It was hard, and we needed more time because sometimes people suspicious of us. We need to get some reference letters and so on. One day, we were in a restaurant, then we heard there was an attack in the United States with airplanes. You know, at that time, there was no media as it is now. Taliban actually banned any TVs, there was no newspaper, nothing. Afghanistan itself was, the world, I think only a few countries recognized Taliban as a government, under siege, under, sanctions. So we didn't pay much attention to it because it's not there anymore, not just today. You can just, at the same time, you can see the news. And for me, it was irrelevant. However, the head of the church organization told us, guys, you have to leave. He received instruction from Saudi Arabia that he has to leave immediately. So they needed to look at everything they have. They have a lot of food, days, medical aid, money, a lot of logistic stuff. So I said, you know what, why not? They asked me to help. I said, yes, we can help. Our task was to take a shipment of medicine to one of the hospitals in the north. In the way we were ambushed by one of the warlords. The church organization had a blue, beautiful Toyota car. Karen, not like yours. So basically, at that time, we were not aware of anything, but the CIA started doing their job. They started paying money to the tribe elders, because at that time, 95% of Afghanistan was under the control of Taliban. Only 5% of Afghanistan in the north was under the control of Ahmad Shah Massoud and the Northern Alliance. So tribe elders, after money, millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, people switch their loyalties. You call them loyalties, I call them traitors. So we were taken by one of the warlords as guests. He was interested in the car, as he said. Then another warlord who is actually higher than him came and took us as guests. I started teaching his kids English, Arabic, math, whatever. And we were talking to him, and he needs some money ransom. We contacted the head of the charity organization. He said, okay, we will pay. They will take us to Iran. That was the arrangement. All of a sudden, one day, Afghans came. They put a hood over my head, handcuffs, and walked me a little. Then I could hear a loud dog barking, really loud, and people speaking English took me to the floor, beating me, and stripped me naked, clothed. I'm like, what's going on there? So my head on the ground. Someone put his knees over my head, and the people start beating, put me in chains, cutting me in clothes, to the truck, to the helicopter truck, to the basement. I was screaming, yelling, just beating. No one would tell me anything. So what happened was that before the American invaded Afghanistan, the Americans airplanes threw leaflets, offering a large bounties for anyone who would bring Al-Qaeda, Taliban, and anyone who was not even Afghans. Just tell them this is Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, you get paid. The higher the rank you told them that person, the more money you got. So I was sold to the CIA. No, not here. Not as a flower. You can see in the middle. I was sold as Al-Qaeda Commander 9/11 insider. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm sure none of you just sold with that money. So this I compare. When I was sold to the CIA, you see in the red one, after 16 years, they said uncleared if he actually joined Al-Qaeda. We will talk about that later, but I was sold as Al-Qaeda Commander 9/11 insider. I was only 18 years old. Taken to the black site. So what is the black site? Those who don't know about the black sites, the black sites are secret prisons created by the CIA around the world, in many countries, either in a military bases or in the countries where they will rent their airports, prisons, or places where prisoners or men would be kidnapped from different countries around the world. One thing I need to talk about, which is Americans are very smart. They play a game very well. What they did, they started manipulating the terminology, the language. So kidnapping men from around the world, they call it rendition. When you hear the word rendition, what do you hear? Something, okay. Most people don't understand what does it mean, rendition. It's actually kidnapping. So prisoners of war, they call us detainees. Enhanced interrogation technique. It's actually torture, which is CIA developed a torture technique, contracted psychologists, some interrogators, some who interrogate and torture prisoners during the Vietnam War. One of the psychologists who contracted the CIA with $400 million developed what they call enhanced interrogation technique. It's torture technique. If you just Google that, CIA black site or enhanced interrogation technique, you will find the Senate report about the torture. So just last month, they found another program was developed too. It's not just the two programs. Black site, where I spent around 3 months, totally naked, hooded, hung to the ceiling, upside down sometimes, just intense interrogation, beating. Of course, I admitted I was the commander. I was the Egypt. They told me my name is Adil from Egypt. I said, yeah, I'm that person. I admitted that I was involved in bombing, in money laundering, and whatever. They said yes, because you had no power, The problem was giving the details. You cannot give the details you don't have. And what they took the torture to the second level. Sometimes they will give you break, few days, and you think, oh, they stopped. What they do, because if they continue the torture without stop, no meaning. So they didn't give you a break and restart. We'll take it to the second level. 3 months. I went through. I don't want to take you there because I'm sure you will skip. So what happened was, I faced death many times. I just, to the point, I didn't care if I live or die. And some people sometimes ask me, aren't you afraid? I would say, no, I don't feel afraid. Even now, I do not feel fear. Not because scared, no. Because I believe that fear is really an important emotion we need. Because it's like, it helps us to wait, to think, to control. It's like a self-defense mechanism. For me, what I went through the black site, they pushed me beyond the fear. It's broken, it's not there anymore. Not because I have a choice. So many of us who went through the black site, we didn't feel fear anymore. I guess I'll give you one simple example. So basically, after 3 months, a man came. They put me in my knees many times, like fake execution. This is one of the things, A man came. I was waiting like that, and he took the hood. Look at my body. He has paper. Looking at my teeth. Looking at every part of my body, comparing to the photos and pictures he had with my body. Even they brought a surgeon to check if I have any, surgeries on my face. 3 days later, I was transferred to a new prison in Kandahar. Kandahar airport, part of Kandahar airport was turned into a prison, makeshift tent, surrounded with barbed wires, and humiliation, beating, religious desecration, and you name it. So after that, I've spent 25 days. I was shipped to the unknown. Before they shipped us to Guantanamo, they would take us to a process center, or the process station, what they call it. We would be called and taken, would hang on the tent like that, and they would take our clothing, shaving our bodies, showering, and they will put us in an orange suit. So at that time, I was in the tent. While doing that, there was a boy who was, I think, 13, 14 years old. There was a lot of humiliation where they talking about genitals, about stuff. Yes, they could do for whatever they want. I spat on the guard, the guard there. It's my nature, it's not like bad because I'm a little wild because our tribes, we do not take humiliation easily. We're very down to earth. But if someone humiliation like that, fire. So I spat on the guard. So what they do, they took the duct tape over my mouth like that. I got stuck. So I start fighting with them. Then they put me in the stretcher. Then they put me in chains, shackles, hood, goggles, muffs, duct tape, and big sign around my neck called "Beat Me." We waited before that plane, cargo plane, around hours and hours, 12 midnight or maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. We lost track of the time. And they put us they move us to the plane, taken away. We want to stop, then taken away again. It was around over 40 hours journey to the unknown. During the journey, I got beaten all the way. Beating, humiliation, again. One of the funny things that happened on the airplane, it was during the first plane, we heard someone screaming, brothers, be ready, be ready. They will throw us from the plane. Say your shahada, say your prayers. Someone who's screaming really bad. Like, what? They going through us from the airplane? Now we all just ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I mean, these are the last prayers to say. And I started thinking about the things I did. I remember that when I stole my grandma dates, one of the bad things. Taking my sister pens, notebooks. I mean, this, the stuff I did bad, I wish I did some good deeds. I was enough good to my mom, I was 18 years old, so I wasn't like those who already, I couldn't say. Anyway, so at that time, it was waiting. When I go to our turn to throw us to someone move you, oh, it's my turn. We get to the point we didn't care anymore. When you arrive at Guantanamo, we asked the brother, 1 month hunting for that brother. But at the end, he felt guilty. He said, look, I did it. He was calling for the toilet. So he's a toilet. So they took him, and when they took him, there was, I think they turned on a big fan behind him. And he thought this is the airplane gate and they're going to throw him. There's a lot of trouble. So imagine, because you cannot see, you cannot hear, you live inside your head. You didn't know what to expect. You didn't know what was going on, to where you're taken, what's happened to you. Anything is possible. We arrived at Guantanamo. Again, we had to go through the process station. He's going to kill me. I have to finish soon. So we'll go through the process station again. Humiliation, especially the anal search. I remember when they do that, they would interrogate us over and over while doing it's not search, it's like rape. But for us, it's not, we felt at that time I'd rather die than this has been done to us. It was like way to break you. So they used to ask questions, do you like it? Do you want more? The whole journey was also a systematic torture, so they prepare you to take you to the interrogation room, where teams after teams will come after you. So we arrived at Guantanamo, Camp X-Ray. I think some of you knows about Camp X-Ray. So to fast forward, Camp X-Ray was the first camp built at Guantanamo, only cement and cages. No toilet, nothing, just no roof, nothing. So before we go there, so around 770 and 80 men were transferred to Guantanamo, 60 of them child. The youngest prisoner was 3 months old. The oldest was 105 years old. So 15 nationalities, more than 20 languages spoken at Guantanamo, engineers, doctors, lawyers, psychologists, mafias, nurses, all kind of people. We didn't have any MEPs. We have an ambassador, Taliban ambassador. You weren't there. No woman. So when you arrive there, when we say a prison, it's not, they call it the detention, again, manipulation of the language. So there was no rights. We had no rights, no Geneva Convention, international law doesn't apply, Cuban law doesn't apply, American law doesn't apply, nothing applied there. So Guantanamo is a city where around 220,000 people live there, Cuban people. Part of that city or bay was rented to American in the 1903 until that day, still. So they created that detention or black hole inside the military base. Totally disconnected from and isolated from the rest of the world, and let you know, Guantanamo, one of the most secretive prisons in the world and the most expensive prison in the world. $540 million a year is the cost of running that place. So fast forward from 2002, 2010, we call it the Dark Age. I explained that in the book, in our book here, where torture, abuse, hunger strike, death, experiment on prisoners at Guantanamo. From 2010, 2013, we call it the Dark Age, where Obama, as you know, Obama in 2009 signed an executive order to close Guantanamo, but he failed. However, there was a turning point in Guantanamo, 2003. When General Jeffrey Miller arrived at Guantanamo, those who don't know General Jeffrey Miller, a war criminal he was the architect of Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. Before he was sent to Iraq, he was in Guantanamo. He was the first one who started developing the torture program in Guantanamo. And the first one who wrote the camp SOP. What's the SOP? Standard Operation Procedure. We call it prisoner, we call it shit on paper. So during that time, there is something to say here. In Camp X-Ray, we got in touch with something called Ireland. So, the first month there was a lot of humiliation, beating, no sleep, sleep deprivation, intense interrogation. And one day we rose because one of the detainees was beat bad while he's praying. So we rose up and we start talking. What should we do? But you have 15 nationalities, 20 languages spoken, and Arabs talk too much. Oh, so someone said, "Well, let's go on hunger strike." What's hunger strike even mean? I said, "Why you don't eat or drink?" It's not possible. So they said Gandhi did it. Who's Gandhi? They're like an Indian guy. Then they said, "Whoa, the Irish did it too. 10 Irish." Okay, but I said they died. Okay, but we don't want to die. So then we start discussing all night about the hunger strike. There was no solution. Go, it's haram, it's forbidden in Islam, it's not gonna do, la la la, like, you know what. My neighbor Yusuf was only 14 years old. The second morning he said refuse. He told the guard, I am on hunger strike. As a Yemeni from tribe where I came from, if you don't eat, my neighbor, I'm not eating unless you eat. We share. I said with him. Then many people joined. That we come encounter with the Irish history. I can tell you those guys. I visited today those from Belfast, Bobby Sand and others. They are not dead. They're alive. They inspired us. They gave us hope. They gave us a way to resist. And we resisted. We succeeded. We defeated them in Guantanamo. And today, I visited their grave, 3 of them, and I dedicated this copy of the book to them all. And I said, you can read the lighter. So, the act, not knowing the history was really important. So, whenever we go on hunger strike, we say, the Irish way! Hunger strike is not fun. It's slow journey, a painful journey toward death. But we had to do it. So today when I sat at Bobby's grave, I guess I can't hold it because I felt the connection. No exaggeration. Because every time we would go on hunger strike, I remember those guys died. And I almost died too. Anyway, so 2003 was the beginning of the Turning Guantanamo Experimenting Lab. And if you now Google this research published by Seton Hall Law University, lawyers, psychologists, and former soldiers contributed to that research. The name of the research, Guantanamo America's Battle Lab. Guantanamo America's Battle Lab. You will understand how the American turned Guantanamo an experimenting lab. So to talk about the hunger strike, I'm not going to talk more. I will just show you some of the this is the force feeding. We're going to talk about it later when we go on hunger strike. This is the way. One of my brothers painted me when I was force fed. You see how we restrained to the force feeding chair, and that would insert the thick tube through our noses. Here's the tube. One of the doctors showed the force feeding tube that go through our nose. Yeah. So basically, I don't want you to take a look at this one. So disgusting. So that would have something because. Okay. So we went on hunger strike over and over again. 2006, one of the turning point. How much time do I have? 3 minutes. Okay, guys. So basically, 2006, one of the turning point, where they brought special medical team and new combat administration to break the hunger strike because in 2005 we managed to go on mass hunger strike. One of the guys who came there, Habibi Ron DeSantis. I think you know about him. Ron DeSantis, actually the one who ran for the White House and dropped, he was in Guantanamo, and he was one of the guys who was supervised the torture by the force feeding. So in 2006 was the first 3 deaths where 3 prisoners died under torture. There is a book published about it by one of the soldiers called Murder in Camp Delta. Some of us spent on force feeding 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 13 years on force feeding. So basically, 2009 was a turning point where Obama failed to close the detention after he signed an executive order. They sought with us and they negotiate. And we negotiate with them, to improve the living condition in the camps. Before they said we don't negotiate with terrorists. But they negotiated with us in 2002. Why? Those cages and camp X-ray, we refused to carry because they give us like a bucket for toilet, and we refused to carry it. So one day the general came, they brought the table, they chained us, and they said, okay, you guys have to carry the the bucket. We said we will not. They said we'll give you some more food. We said this is even worse than what's inside the bucket. I'm not going to mention it. So basically that was the first negotiation. Second negotiation, when Obama sent the delegation to Guantanamo, we said with them, the living condition improve in the camps, because they want to keep us quiet. We know that, but sometimes we had to relax basically. So the living condition improve in the camp. We have access to pens, paper, books, TV, newspaper, family phone calls, and we have better food, better treatment. However, we had access to art, as you see now. Take a look on the wall there. There's a lot. We painted. We become an artist in Guantanamo. All this art made in Guantanamo in the class. So basically, in 2013, also when I moved to I spent from 2002 to 2010 solitary confinement. When I was moved, I started learning English, because now Guantanamo has changed me. Because I ask each of you, what makes you as a unique human being? It's not just your DNA. Those traits, your name, your language, your faith, your value, your ethic, your morals, your emotion, your relationship, your memories, your knowledge, your experience, and so on. So, but at Guantanamo, we had no shared life with each other. And the more we stay, the more we are distanced from who we are, from our families, emotion, experience, knowledge, and so on. And our brain would start construct a new us, a new memories, a new emotion, a new experience, a new relationship, a new traumas, everything related to the place. So until 2010, I become like, cursing in 5-6 languages, violent, not by choice, because we just reacting to whatever they throw at us. 12 prisoners, some of them totally broken, because they choose not to do anything. They become just what the guard said, become a behavior. At the beginning, they were very good people, but cowering, not doing anything, it become your behavior. Day after day, you become desensitized to whatever. Some of us, we choose to control, we choose to fight back, we choose to resist. Whatever they do, we don't care. Shit for shit, respect for respect. They brought the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guards. The bad guards, we call them Rome service, and they hated it. So it became, we developed our psychological warfare. They beat us, they did everything. But the other side of that, we sang, we danced, we cried. Guantanamo, there was love, life, hope, bad moment, good moment. We were not the only victims, but also there was guards and campus staff were victims. I remember one of the chaplain, Claire, was kind enough to give us the stage last year at September. I'm going to talk about that later. But one of the guys, I will. So basically, imagine one of the chaplains, a Muslim chaplain, an army captain, graduate from West Point University, came to Guantanamo as a Muslim chaplain to help prisoners and guards. When General Jeffrey Merrill started developing the torture program, part of that was the desecration of the religion. James C. protested. He said, you shouldn't use that. He was an obstacle. So what they did to him, he was arrested. They put him in an orange suit. He was interrogated, classified as enemy combatant. Imagine if they could do that to their own soldiers. What about us? So Guantanamo. So 2010, when I started, found myself empty from within, like a shell, and some kind of like violence, not in a way like intense with the guards. We have to do it, but also we a group of us. Have you heard about the Invincibles, the Irish guys? Yeah. We have something in Guantanamo called the Red Eyes. So like that. However, in 2009, something happened again. I got a lawyer. Surprise, surprise. Guess who? Was an Irish American. When I used to tease him, I said, you are an American. No, I'm an Irish. So he was a lovely guy on the heart. I started learning English. My English was basic. So I found a book in the library called Around the World in 80 Days. It took me 6 months to finish it. And the girls and my brothers, hey, 441, when are you going to finish your the book. I said, okay, when I find my sweetheart. So I told him I'll write a book. People will make fun of me. I started writing in English and then in Arabic, then translated to English. Andy Hart, the Irish lawyer. Andy died in 2013. My God have mercy in his soul. So then by 2013, I have my full script for the book. However, in 2013 was the turning point again when the army came and took over of the camps, and they totally reset Guantanamo. They confiscated everything, destroyed all the artwork we did in Guantanamo. And again, we went on hunger strike, force feeding, and so on. Guantanamo. So in 2015, I got a new lawyer. We are close. And I told her I need to write a book. But at that time, we had now a very good way how to develop, resist, especially in the hunger strike. We developed a very strategic hunger strike. We lost everything, but we won. And I started writing my book this time as legal letters to my lawyer. So because when you write a letter to your lawyer, the camp in Guantanamo wouldn't touch it. The letters would go to the secure facility in Washington, and the lawyers would have access to that letters. So Guantanamo lawyers has no privileges, basically, just visits, and anything they write or hear have to write it in paper, submit it at the secure facility, get approved by the government or not. Anyway, 2016, 15, I got my PRP. PRP is the periodic review board, where they go through our files and approve us for release. High agencies, in charge of the PRPs, the Homeland Security, Department of Justice, Department of Defense, I think some people from the FBI, CIA, whatsoever, and they have to agree unanimously to release us. I was released. So as you see in what they said, what they concluded, unclear if he actually joined Al-Qaeda after around 15 years. And my lawyers told him, look, you have to say something. It was a mistaken identity. Basically, they said we cannot say and we detain an innocent man for 15 years. So I told them, well, I like to stay general. It's better than nothing. So in 2016, I was forcibly released to Serbia. Yeah. After they clear me, now the process to release me. I refused to go to Serbia because the Serbian history with Muslims. So I went on hunger strike, force feeding again, and I was disciplined. This is the last uniform I wore in Guantanamo. This is the actual uniform, orange uniform. So they put me in discipline. They didn't call it punishment. They call it discipline. They call the solitary confinement single operation cell. Hunger strike, they call it non-religious fasting. Force feeding, assisting feeding. So welcome to American game. I refused to go to Serbia. They put me in the stretcher, restrained me on the first feeding chair to Serbia in 2016, and they told my lawyer there is a resettlement agreement between the United States and Serbian government. I have to live here because she's going to slap me. But if we have time, we're going to talk about life after Guantanamo and explain more. So what else? Yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
I feel so bad for rushing Mansoor, but I know the venue is under pressure for the next event. But I mean, look, it's an absolutely incredible story. I mean, hear what he said. No evidence was ever involved in Al-Qaeda or anything else, and he never was. 15 years of torture, and then you're going to Serbia. And he was there and has been there really until last year when he managed to get another passport, and we've begun to bring him on these tours. And the purpose of it is to try and raise awareness on the need to close Guantanamo. There are 30 people left there, 2/3 of them exactly like Mansoor. No charges, nothing ever, but there's no country to which they can be released because the US have drafted legislation which says they cannot be lawfully readmitted to the US and they cannot be resent to, there's a list of named countries of which Yemen is one. So basically other countries took people, resettled people, obviously in return for a favour or money from the US at the time, Mansoor went to Serbia, a couple of guys came to the south, there's a couple of people in Ireland at that time. Various governments did different things, but there's fellas left there now and they've nowhere to go, and that's how we've ended up having the campaign. But look at, if you've 5 minutes to ask him anything you ever wanted to know about Guantanamo, I'll take very short questions and I'll make sure he answers very shortly if people have a question. I know it's a lot to take in. It's very hard to respond to something like that, but if you had a quick question that you wanted to ask him, feel free.
Anyone? When are you coming back to tell the rest of your story?
That was when are you coming back for the next? Well, he'd be back tomorrow if he can, and I think we can safely say he will definitely be back. There's no question or doubt about that. I know, do you have a quick question? Very quick, yeah.
I'm from Cuba, and I just wanted to say I'm sorry for...
No. We do not take sorry from people. I know.
No, but I want to say, as a Cuban woman who lived on the other side of the island that is not occupied by Yankee imperialism,
Please, listen to me. Look, we do not... Look, you don't, and we won't accept and apologize on behalf of those criminals, because there is no apology, and we want to take. We will not forgive those, not because I have hate or grudge against them, because forgetfulness and forgiveness at this point is a crime. The only forgiveness is justice. That's it. That way, because this has to stop at some point, and the only way is justice must be served. So yeah, thank you.
Hello, Mansoor. Thank you very much. And thank you, Clare, for giving Mansoor a position where his voice can be heard, because we don't hear enough voices like yours, I believe, in this country.
Yes, don't forget my camel. Yeah. That's it.
The camel's parked outside, but for by that, also for exposing US imperialism, which has its hands and tentacles, strangling our country too. The economic dominance, the social dominance, all of that, the Zionist tentacles that are strangling our country. It very much resonates with me, and when you speak about US imperialism, I can't help but see how that resonates for us here in our country.
Thank you so much.
And I believe, I firmly believe, and Social Rights Ireland, for whom I represent, believe that nobody, none of our representatives, south or north, should stand with Genocide Joe or be bringing any shamrocks to him on Paddy's Day.
So, before I forget, honestly, again, the Irish people came to the stage. Guantanamo, as you know, one of the most secretive prisons in the world, and U.S. government does not allow access for any journalist to visit Guantanamo or to take any photos. So, last year, it was really crucial when Claire and Mick invited us to the European Parliament. They gave us stage, the voice, because we struggle a lot. I have been working after Guantanamo since 2016, since I got out. And the conference, the best and the biggest conference of Guantanamo, we managed to invite former Guantanamo prisoners, former guards, 9/11 family victims, lawyers, and also one of the Irish champion too. Fionnuala Nealon, she was the UN rapporteur to Guantanamo, and she did a very good report. Again, the Irish. And honestly, I believe the only people who can close Guantanamo are the Irish people. So we are counting on you guys. The Irish way.
Well, look, we have to, I'm afraid, bring it to a close. Can I just say, Mansoor has his book here. That event that he talked about from the European Parliament is available on the European Parliament archives. It's also available on our I4C Twitter handle. I think it's promoted as well. It was an amazing event. The book is an amazing read. He has a few here to sell. He is in the process of writing another one, but look it up and up the pressure. We will be back to you on other issues about how we need to close it, what we need to do to help that struggle. But it is just a most unbelievable tale of the absolute worst of humanity and the most incredible strength in human dignity and resilience, that an innocent young man can be dragged halfway around the globe and back, and to this day is living basically in solitary confinement in Serbia, still not free, still not able, and having committed no crime. And all of that done in the name of defending the land of the free and the hope of the brave, and good old Uncle Sam, who's ruining the world even now in supporting Israel and allowing that genocide to continue. So it's an incredibly important story that links in with all the rest. And we are, and I'm sure I speak for all of us, I know how difficult it is for Mansoor to talk about this. He says, and it's the name of the book, that when he left, the promise to his brothers was, don't forget us here. And I think on behalf of all of us, I think he's done them totally proud that you certainly haven't forgot them, and we're not going to forget that campaign either. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, everyone. So before you go, I know we don't have much time, so I'm going to wrap up quickly. So the story, I give you only 10% of Guantanamo story. It's a long story, but I'm working on a new book called Life After Guantanamo. A new book, audiobook will be published in September. Letters from Guantanamo, a TV show. Yeah, from Guantanamo Bay. And before we go, I'd like to sing for you the same song we used to sing for Guantanamo, for each other when someone leave Guantanamo or move to another block. And this is my last night, and it's like basically it's a goodbye song. So it says, روح روح مع السلامة الله يزيدك أمن وسلامة روح روح مع السلامة الله يزيدك أمن وسلامة, which means go with peace. May Allah grant you more peace and safety. So to you all, go with peace. May Allah grant you more peace and safety. And I believe that Ireland will be united, one country, one nation. Inshallah. Thank you so much.